making a waste-free future happen together. Your partner for change, CalRecycle is advancing world-leading reforms to cut waste and build circular use systems for all materials.
Big news for California's Beverage container recycling program. The new developments with dealer cooperative redemption systems, plus paving new roads with more recycled material.
It's really going to help push the market and help push the industry into a better place.
The new pilot project to build stronger, longer-lasting roads. And to see how Caltrans and CalRecycle are working together to maximize the use of California compost.
Join California's climate fight and shift to a circular use economy. CalRecycle's monthly public meeting starts now.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us for CalRecycle's May 2025 public meeting. Due to ongoing hearing room upgrades at Cal EPA headquarters, this meeting is virtual only. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Technology prevented our April public meeting from being broadcast in its entirety. You can find a video of our April public meeting updates on CalRecycle's YouTube channel. We have progress and updates to share today, but first, here's a brief safety and language access message.
Shouldn't be a barrier when it comes to protecting our air, water, and land. CalRecycle is simulcasting this meeting in both English and Spanish. Click the public meeting banner at the top of calrecycle.ca.gov for a link to our webcast in English and Spanish. If you're attending this meeting in person in Byron Share Auditorium, we have Spanish interpretation devices available. Let our team on the left-hand side of the dais know if you need one. El idioma no debe de ser una barrera cuando se trata de proteger nuestro aire, nuestra agua y tierra. CalRecycle está transmitiendo simultáneamente esta junta pública en español e inglés. Puede encontrar el enlace en línea en español e inglés en la parte superior de nuestra página web calrecycle.ca.gov. Si asiste a esta junta en persona en el auditorio Byron Share, tenemos dispositivos de traducción al español disponibles. Solo informe a nuestro equipo al lado izquierdo del mostrador de presentación si necesita uno.
Spanish language live interpretation is available during this meeting. We will briefly pause after each agenda item to give our interpreters time to relay the information. Your feedback is important. We will take public comments on Zoom and by phone. The Zoom link and call-in instructions are on CalRecycle's monthly public meeting webpage, or you can scan the QR code on this slide. Please raise your hand in Zoom or call in now if you have comments on the following items: the Director's Report, the Plastic Pollution Prevention and Responsible Battery Recycling Act implementation, dealer cooperative regulations, product stewardship updates, or grants and loans. Now let's get started with our recently confirmed CalRecycle Director, Zoe Heller, with the Director's Report. Good morning, Zoe, and congratulations on receiving overwhelming support for your confirmation.
Thank you, Maria, and good morning, everybody. Really appreciate everybody's patience as we're upgrading the Byron Share room. We just did not want to have a repeat of last month, so figured we'd keep today all virtual and soon get back to our hybrid meetings. So thanks again for your patience and flexibility. So we have quite a bit on the agenda today, as I'm sure many of you have seen, so I'll keep my remarks relatively short. We have updates today for our plastic and packaging EPR law. As many of you may have seen, we released draft regulation text last Friday and are hosting a workshop on May 27th and looking forward to discussing some of the changes in the reg text with all of you. We're also having two other workshops next week, one on loose battery EPR and the expansion of our e-waste program to include battery embedded products. We'll also be sharing some progress with the beverage container recycling program reforms, specifically some updates on the dealer cooperative regulations. And importantly, I want to thank the CalRecycle team for completing the closure of the Bonzi sanitary landfill in Modesto. Many CalRecycle staff have been working on this their entire career, and this is an incredible milestone. Operators stopped taking waste in 2009, but did not have sufficient funds to close the landfill in accordance with state standards. After years of court judgments and special allocations from the legislature, the landfill closed last month, and it's already reducing impacts on air, groundwater, and the surrounding community. A special thank you to the Central Valley Regional Water Quality Board and various CalRecycle teams who have put many, many hours on this project. CalRecycle closely monitors all landfills in the state to prevent similar situations from happening. Back to you, Maria.
Thanks so much, Zoe. And next on the agenda, CalRecycle is moving forward on rulemaking for major circular economy reforms, including plastic and packaging waste reduction reforms. Deputy Director of Circular Economy, Michelle Martin, is here with those updates. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, Maria. Good morning, everyone. CalRecycle is in an informal phase of the rulemaking process and remains committed to advancing California's plastic and packaging reforms. On May 27th, CalRecycle will host an informal workshop from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the Byron Shear Auditorium at CalEPA headquarters. The focus will be on the latest version of the draft regulations following the restart of the rulemaking process. Workshop materials were shared on Friday through the Packaging EPR listserv and are available on our Packaging EPR web pages. CalRecycle is accepting comments on these materials through Tuesday, June 3rd. The Packaging Producer Responsibility Advisory Board met last Friday to discuss the regulations timeline, hear presentations from each F&H consultants and HDR on the collection, processing, and end markets needs assessment, and review the draft of their barriers and solutions recommendations report. On June 23rd, CalRecycle will host a non-regulatory workshop to gather feedback on the development of guidance documents for the covered material category list. We'll send a save the date on the Packaging EPR Gov delivery listserv, and more materials will be shared ahead of the workshop. Subscribe to the listserv and check our Packaging EPR web pages for more information. Next, CalRecycle will host an informal public rulemaking workshop for the Responsible Battery Recycling Act implementation. Join us on May 29th from 1 to 5 p.m. to share your feedback on the draft of the proposed regulations to establish a stewardship program for the collection and recycling of loose batteries. Join us in person at CalEPA headquarters or register online to participate virtually and submit your written comments after the workshop. Find more details linked in today's agenda. And sign up for our battery stewardship listserv on CalRecycle's website. Next on the agenda, the Office of Administrative Law approved CalRecycle's dealer registration and dealer cooperatives regulation package on April 24th, 2025, and the regulations became effective immediately. More information about the rulemaking process, including a link to the regulations, is available on CalRecycle's Dealer Cooperatives Program webpage. CalRecycle received its first dealer cooperative stewardship plan for review. CalRecycle received a plan from Circular CRV Association on April 28th and took public comments through May 13th. CalRecycle has 90 days to approve or disapprove the plan, with a deadline of July 28th, 2025. The determination will be announced at a future public meeting. A copy of Circular CRV's Association's plan is linked in today's agenda and available on the Dealer Cooperative Stewardship webpage. Moving on to our paint stewardship updates. Every May 15th, paint product manufacturers, either individually or through a stewardship organization, are required to submit an annual report to CalRecycle that describes its paint product recovery efforts for the previous calendar year. On May 15th, 2025, CalRecycle received Paint Care's 2024 annual report. It's currently being reviewed for compliance with statute, regulations, and Paint Care's stewardship plan. The department has 120 days to determine annual report compliance, non-compliance, or conditional approval. The statutory decision deadline is September 12th. CalRecycle is accepting public comments through May 30th. And you can find more information and documents related to this item linked in today's agenda. We also have an update on the pharmaceutical waste stewardship program this month. On April 25th, 2025, the foundation submitted a proposal to modify its stewardship plan for covered drugs, introducing a proposed tiered approach to reasonable geographic spread based on the number of potential authorized collectors in each county. CalRecycle received feedback on the proposal through May 16th and is in the process of reviewing the proposal. The director's determination will be announced at a future public meeting. For product stewardship updates, subscribe to the listserv available on CalRecycle's website. And that's all I have right now. Thanks, and back to you, Maria.
Thanks so much, Michelle. California's 5-year tire plan allocates funding for grants, loans, and research projects to find new uses for old tires. Materials Management and Local Assistance Deputy Director Kara Morgan joins us with more on an exciting new research project. Good morning, Kara.
Good morning, Maria. Good morning, everyone. California has pioneered the use of rubberized asphalt pavement since the 1970s to promote new markets for recycled tires. I would like to highlight one of the latest research projects that CalRecycle has funded. Take a look at this short video.
Reusing waste while cutting costs and pollution. This new 1-mile stretch at UC Davis is made with recycled tires and asphalt.
Well, I'm really excited about creating circularity in the markets.
The pilot partnership between CalRecycle, Caltrans, and the UC Pavement Research Center is advancing technology California has used for decades, building better roads with up to 23% recycled tires and 25% reclaimed asphalt.
So not only will these roads have more recycled content, but they'll also last longer.
Strengthening roads to withstand more extreme heat while using fewer raw materials.
We could potentially expand the asphalt supply and potentially alleviate some of the supply chain issues that we're seeing.
Helping California pave more roads and replace them less often by giving old materials new life.
It's really going to help push the market and help push the industry into a better place.
By evaluating these materials, researchers at the UC Pavement Research Center aim to develop longer-lasting, more cost-effective, and environmentally friendly asphalt pavement, and even more recycled tire rubber being used. So I'm very excited about this project. Back to you, Maria.
Thank you so much, Kara. Grants and loans are next on the agenda, including small changes to the rubberized pavement grant program criteria. We'll go back to Michelle Martin for more.
Staff is proposing a few changes for the upcoming grant cycles, and Branch Chief Lauren Barba is here with a quick summary.
Thank you, Michelle. The goal of this program is to promote the use of rubberized pavement while encouraging the recycling of California-generated waste tires. The proposed criteria change for the fiscal years 2025-26 and 2026-27 grant cycles include allowing grantees to apply the year after receiving an award, increasing maximum total awards to individual applicants from 6 to 8 for rubberized asphalt concrete hot mix or rubberized chip seal projects, increasing the reimbursement rates for rubberized asphalt concrete hot mix, and then increasing the maximum grant award amounts to $375,000 for individual applicants, $525,000 for regional applicants, $750,000 for qualifying tribal entities. Click the link on today's agenda for additional details. There will be a $6.5 million available for fiscal year 2025-26 and $6.3 million for fiscal year 2026-27. The notice of funds available is expected in July with applications due in September. Grant award announcements are set for December. Back to you, Maria.
Okay, and now we will go to our public comments for the items that we just went over. Do we have any public comments on any of the agenda items on Zoom? On the phone?
No comments.
Okay. As we move forward, please raise your hand in Zoom or call in now if you have comments on disaster debris recovery operations, Caltrans compost use plan 5-year review, the e-waste update, or permits and waivers. So now we will turn to disaster debris recovery operations progress update. Debris removal continues on the 2024 wildfires in both the south and north operations. In Kern County, cleanup for the Burrell fire has resumed with properties in higher elevations now accessible and the county adding additional properties to be cleared. The North Division has resumed work after a temporary safety stand down to review protocols and refresh training. The Park and Thompson fires are at the 50% mark. The Boyles fire in Clear Lake requires hazard tree removal, soil testing, and erosion control. So now we will move forward to CalRecycle working with state partners to expand beneficial uses for compost. Deputy Director Kara Morgan is back with an update on that work.
Thank you, Maria. So every 5 years, CalRecycle and Caltrans are required to review best practices for compost use along our state highways. Here's a quick video showing how Caltrans is using compost to improve our roads.
California is cutting landfill pollution by turning food and yard waste into new products, like California-made compost, which helps our farmers feed the world and protects our roads and waterways.
It's part of a tool that we use for erosion control and establishing vegetation.
Compost has quickly become an essential material for California Department of Transportation road projects to stabilize hillsides and fast-track new growth.
Like when you put compost over the top of the soil, it acts as a protective layer.
We can establish vegetation and control erosion, which then ultimately protects water quality by preventing sediment from going into our waterways.
Engineering ecosystems to prevent flooding and filter roadway runoff before it reaches our water.
There's been a lot of studies that show that compost bind heavy metals, petrochemicals.
With benefits abound, Caltrans is working to maximize compost use in its projects statewide.
We've been working very closely with CalRecycle and the U.S. Composting Council, developing parameters for specification.
A nature-based solution to cut pollution and strengthen local markets for California compost.
It's almost preventative maintenance, right? So if we're able to stabilize the slope and prevent sediment from building up on the roadside, we've now eliminated the need for maintenance to go out there.
Promoting California's circular, renewable future.
The law requires Caltrans to use compost across all of its districts to replace or supplement synthetic fertilizers in its highway landscape maintenance program. It also requires CalRecycle to maximize compost use in disaster debris removal operations. I'd like to take a moment to thank our Caltrans partners. I really appreciate their efforts and the collaboration with the Association of Compost Producers. So at this time, Senior Environmental Scientist Kristen Pidcock joins us with a progress report. Hi, Kristen.
Good morning. Thank you, Kara. Hi, everyone. As the video highlighted, compost and mulch help prevent erosion, keep soil in place, improve soil health, and support the growth of vegetation. Since 2018, Caltrans has used over 1.5 million cubic yards of California compost and mulch in their projects. CalRecycle now requires contractors cleaning up after disasters like wildfires to use compost-based products instead of other materials. The use of compost socks around burned properties has been key in reducing soil erosion and filtering contaminants to protect water quality. Both departments have reviewed the best practices planned and we'll continue to implement it. This includes district staff training, reviewing compost specifications, updating best practices, identifying research opportunities, and hosting joint webinars and meetings. I'd also like to give a special thanks to the Association of Compost Producers and the California Compost Coalition for their support, and to Caltrans for their continued partnership. We are working closely with Ken Murray, an acting principal landscape architect with Caltrans, and Ken is here to provide a few comments. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning, Kristen. Thank you for having me. Appreciate working with CalRecycle and the partnership with the American Association of Compost Producers and the U.S. Composting Council on how we can get better quality compost for our projects. We're always looking for opportunities in our construction projects where compost can benefit, and the partnership with not only CalRecycle, but the U.S. Composting Council and Association of Compost Producers is allowing us to have better outreach and success with those projects. So appreciate those opportunities and looking forward to working with everybody in the future.
Thank you for joining us, Ken. Back to you, Kara.
Hey, thank you, Kristen, and thank you, Ken, for being here. I really appreciate our collaboration, and it's such an important endeavor to support SB 1383 implementation, as well as just building healthier soils. California's covered electronic waste recycling program is expanding to include battery-embedded products. Last year, emergency regulations were put in place to establish a process for approved electronic waste recyclers to submit payment claims for recycling covered battery electronic embedded products. On May 28th, CalRecycle will hold an emergency rulemaking workshop to seek feedback from interested parties regarding additional regulatory provisions that are necessary to implement SB 1215. For example, we will be discussing clarifying the statutory definition of covered battery embedded product, specifying the approved cancellation method for dismantling battery embedded covered electronic waste, specifying the recycling payment claim requirements for battery embedded covered electronic waste, and adding reporting requirements for manufacturers of covered battery embedded products. This workshop in the afternoon will also include the proposed battery embedded waste recycling fee. I hope that you will participate in person in the Byron Share Auditorium or on Zoom, and you can also watch the webcast. Please stay updated on SB 1215 rulemaking and other program activities by joining CalRecycle's electronic waste listserv. Back to you, Maria.
Thank you, Kara. So next we have the Division of Waste Permitting, Compliance, and Mitigation Deputy Director, Mark DeBee, with a grant award announcement. Good morning, Mark. I'm not sure if that Mark's on the call. Okay, well, I will just move forward and I'll give this announcement myself. So today we're announcing a Legacy Disposal Site Abatement Partial Grant Program Award of $527,000 for Riverside County. The next grant cycle will be open sometime after the new fiscal year, after July 1st. More details are linked in today's agenda. So next, let's take a look at an informative video on solid waste facility permits and emergency waivers, along with our monthly update from Environmental Program Manager Paulina Lawrence on permits and waivers.
To keep Californians healthy and protect our land, food, water, and air, CalRecycle and local enforcement agencies work together. Local enforcement agencies get community input, process permit applications, conduct inspections, and make sure solid waste facilities follow the law. CalRecycle verifies that permits for solid waste facilities, including landfills and compost sites, comply with state standards and inspections. Agreeing with the LEA that a permit is ready to be issued is known as concurring. Additionally, CalRecycle reviews approved emergency waivers and can modify, limit, or end them. Emergency waivers temporarily modify solid waste facility permits for up to 120 days and may be extended, providing relief for facility operators during disasters, and they're approved by local enforcement agencies. For waste tire facilities, CalRecycle issues and enforces waste tire facility permits to make sure tires are stored and processed safely. Scan this QR code or visit CalRecycle's website for more detailed information.
Those solid waste facility permits or waste tire facility permits that the department concurred or issued on since April's monthly public meeting. For Orange County, on April 30th, 2025, CalRecycle has found that the proposed permit meets all the state requirements and concur or agree with the Orange County Local Enforcement Agency for Stanton Recycling and Transfer Facility. This is a modified solid waste facilities permit. CalRecycle must have made a decision for this permit action by May 5th, 2025. For Los Angeles County, on May 12th, 2025, CalRecycle has found that the proposed permit meets all the state requirements and concur or agree with the Los Angeles County Local Enforcement Agency for Universal Waste Systems, Inc. Material Recovery Facility and Transfer Station. This is a revised solid waste facilities permit. CalRecycle must have made a decision for this permit action by May 27th, 2025. Continuing on this month's agenda, for Kern County, U.S. Borax Inc. This is a modified solid waste facilities permit. CalRecycle must make a decision for this permit action by May 30th, 2025. For Monterey County, AgroThrive Inc. This is a revised solid waste facilities permit. CalRecycle must make a decision for this permit action by May 30th, 2025. For San Joaquin County, K Export. This is a new minor waste tire facility permit. CalRecycle must make a decision for this permit action by July 8, 2025. For Kern County, Mojave Rosamond Recycling and Sanitary Landfill. This is a revised solid waste facilities permit. CalRecycle must make a decision for this permit action by June 24th, 2025. For Kern County, South Kern Industrial Center, LLC. This is a modified solid waste facilities permit. CalRecycle must make a decision for this permit action item by May 27th, 2025. For Sacramento County, JAF Tire Recycling, LLC. This is a new minor waste tire facility permit. CalRecycle must make a decision on this permit action by September 20th, 2025. For Santa Barbara County, Tahigas Sanitary Landfill and Resource Recovery Center. This is a revised solid waste facilities permit. CalRecycle must make a decision for this permit action by May 30th, 2025. For Merced County, Agraman Merced Highway 59 Compost Facility. This is a new solid waste facilities permit. CalRecycle must make a decision for this permit action by June 2nd, 2025. For Solano County, EcoCycle Ventures. This is a new minor waste tire facility permit. CalRecycle must make a decision on this permit action item by October 6th, 2025.
Good morning, everyone. Just a few updates from this last video. The department has received revised permit action dates for Kern County's U.S. Borax Inc. and for Monterey County's AgroThrive Inc. For Kern County, the new revised date is July 15th, and for Monterey County, AgroThrive's revised action date now is June 30th. Back to you, Maria.
Thanks so much, Paulina. You can find more information on any of today's agenda items. Just go to CalRecycle's monthly public meeting webpage. There you will find a copy of today's agenda and our slide deck PowerPoint presentation. So now we are moving to our final public comments of the day. First, we'll take comments from those with their hands up in Zoom. I see several. After that, we'll take comments from callers on the line. And a reminder for anyone who's giving comments today to your mic will stay muted until you're called in on by the last 4 digits of your phone number if you're calling. Also, please mute your webcast if you're watching the webcast to avoid potential feedback issues. So now we'll go to the public comments by Zoom.
And we'll start with Nick Lapis. Go ahead and unmute and state your comment.
Hi, good morning. Nick Lapis with Californians Against Waste. I have a couple questions and a comment on the AB 2411 item. My question is, I didn't actually see an update of the BMPs, an actual physical document attached to the report or anywhere else on the website. Is that posted somewhere? And then I have a follow-up question as well, but
Hey, Nick. Hey, thanks for your question. It's not posted. The team, CalRecycle and Caltrans, our disaster debris team, determined that, we're just continuing to implement the robust activities that we have in the plan. So if there's anything I can do to provide any additional information, happy to do so.
Yeah, well, we were the sponsors of this bill, and the requirements were pretty explicit. Yes. I'm sorry, I thought somebody said sir. The requirements are pretty explicit. The requirements were to look through the compost use practices at each of the individual Caltrans district, identify the best management practices from the ones that are using the most compost, and develop a plan to implement those same practices across the remaining districts. And that plan is supposed to be updated every 5 years, and this is the first 5-year update. It just seems a lot more explicit than what we've heard so far.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the team did an extensive kind of assessment, worked together with Caltrans. And I mean, really our goal is to continue to implement the activities that are outlined in our pretty robust best management practices plan. So happy, Nick, if you'd like to set up a follow-up with Caltrans and our team to talk about it more. But yeah, we're really continuing to work closely. We're also doing work with Caltrans and the Association of Compost Producers on the use of compost and mulch, when there are issues maybe with contamination, et cetera, the use of the material. So there's a lot of collaboration. Those are monthly meetings that are happening. There's continued ongoing training with the Caltrans district kind of blanking on the district staff. So there's just a lot of work that's still continuing. And we weren't proposing any changes to those best management practices because they've really been making a difference, and we want to continue to implement those robust activities.
Well, I'd love to take you up on that offer for a follow-up meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the reasons for the bill is that we were hearing pretty drastic differences in compost use among each of the districts. And so there's a very intentional focus in the bill on evaluating individual Caltrans districts as opposed to looking at the agency as a whole. So I'd love to schedule time to go into a little more detail.
Yeah, happy to do that. Oh, and I see Ken's hand up.
Kara.
So let's have Ken also pop in.
Yeah, and Nick, just real quick, a lot of it, compost use comes down to projects and the size of the project. So, sometimes when we have big projects, we have opportunities to utilize a large amount of compost on those. Other times we have small projects and we want to make sure that we're being good stewards of public funds. And, where compost can be beneficial, we encourage the use of compost, but if it's not going to be beneficial of that, so we don't want to be wasting money either. But so there can be variability with projects, but I'm sure we can discuss a little bit more when we get together in a future meeting.
Yeah, and at that meeting, we can talk a little bit about what's happening at each district, how we've been assessing the work at each district and looking for continued opportunities. Does that sound good, Ken?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Awesome. We'll follow up, Nick. Thanks so much. Really appreciate you.
Thank you both.
The next comment would come from Jeff. If you go ahead and unmute yourself and proceed with your comment.
Terrific. Thank you so much. This is Jeff Zagenbein, president of the California Association of Compost Producers. And our mission is to increase the volume and value of compost use throughout the state. And so this 24/11 and all of the work going on at Caltrans and CalRecycle is of great importance to us and our members. So just one overriding comment, the use amongst all the districts does vary quite a bit. And I think part of the challenge has been the availability of some of the specified products in certain districts. And so our organization and myself personally have made it among the top priorities to outreach to our members in some of the districts that have had less use, to take away the challenge of not being able to easily find compost that meets the specs, that is clean, that is safe, available, and cost effective, all of those type of things. I'd also really like to give a shout out to the CalRecycle staff and Caltrans staff for the pretty significantly improved communication with industry. So we've had monthly meetings, as Kara pointed out a minute ago, and Ken, where each month we're talking about challenges that we have to help meet these goals that the state has, not just to divert organics, but to use them well. And so we've been very appreciative of that. I would really enjoy seeing statistics from the different use amongst Caltrans districts much more frequently than every 5 years. So I would urge some mechanism to kind of show progress and also call out gaps so we can focus attention to help fill those gaps. So I'm very pleased on the direction that we're going. I want to see us use a heck of a lot more compost throughout the state and throughout the Caltrans district. So appreciate the time and all the hard work.
Thank you, Jeff. Next, we're going to go to Shirley. Go ahead and unmute yourself and state your comment, Shirley.
Thank you. This is Shirley Frericks with Waste Not in Nevada County. My question is, Nevada County has been slow on getting the 1383 going. We've only been at it for 6 months, I think, something like that. And we have a continuing problem that we don't know how to deal with. Waste management in the county just say, oh, that's a mandate from CalRecycle. We can't do anything about it. Well, we have a very unhappy group of people here who compost at home. They don't have much trash. They don't need the service. They don't want to pay for the service. So, we're wondering, who do we work with to try and get a monthly pickup rather than a weekly? They just don't want to pay the increased fees, and I don't blame them. We know there's a senior discount available, but they don't even really need that. Most of these people are older and they can't take their material to the transfer station themselves. So, what can CalRecycle do to help out this group of people?
Hey, Shirley, thank you so much for participating in the meeting today and sharing your comments. What I'd like to do is commit to having our team follow up with you. There's a lot of options that we can pursue to help those folks, and in collaboration with the local jurisdiction. So if it's okay with you, we'll set up a follow-up.
I would be so appreciative, and all of us here would be appreciative, because it just isn't working. We've got a lot of unhappy people, I can tell you that.
Yeah, and we don't want unhappy people, right? We want folks to really, be participating. It's such an opportunity for us to have an impact, across the state of California. But there are options for more rural residents, like in your county. So we'll definitely follow up this week with you.
Okay, and who might that be that would follow up?
It'll be our local assistance team. So yeah. We'll get something set up with you this week.
All right, good.
Thanks, Shirley.
Yeah.
Bye.
Next up is the caller with the last four digits, 00. Sorry, I lost them for a second here. Well, they might be out. So how about Lenny64? Go ahead and unmute and state your comment, please.
Yes, thank you. This is Leonard Lang. And one question I have is that the procedures have changed in receiving PRAs, and I've called in a few times to one number I have, but I haven't got any response. Who would I call to find out how to navigate the responses to the PRAs I've submitted?
Leonard, I can help coordinate with you. My name is Lance, and I'm an information officer. So I can get a hold of you after the meeting, and then I can help set you up the right folks.
Great, thank you. Now, I have some issues that have developed over time that I want to discuss. Number one was in 2007, when I left Allen Company and became a consultant, I had occasion to defend a recycler in a hearing defending his business. In that hearing, evidence was introduced that was basically described as handwriting analysis. Fast forward about 10, 12 years, and the ability to do this handwriting analysis was discredited and proven that the department wasn't qualified to do that. So I'm curious, would the department be able to identify all the accusations that involved handwriting analysis by people who were described within their job description as what's it called? A document examiner, question document examiner. So I think there were a number of people that were affected by that issue. There was also another issue where recyclers had been charged with violations called previously baled containers. In 2021, I participated in a hearing where I was an expert witness, and I was able to discredit that interpretation of previously baled containers, yet it had been used for many years. And I'm wondering if the department would identify how many recyclers had been charged with that issue. And I do understand that now all the new attorneys have to read that case. That's a mandatory case to read. Next, I have submitted a PRA a few years back to get a copy of the fund audit. The statute for the beverage container recycling program requires an independent audit of the fund every year. I've not been able to get a copy of that audit. When I did submit the PRA, I got an audit from or a document from Department of Finance, which doesn't qualify because it's supposed to be an outside CPA firm. So I'm wondering, are you getting those audits and are they available? And last, years ago in the beginning of the program, this is under conservation, as I was told, there was a disagreement within the staff regarding enforcement and compliance. And compliance would have emphasized auditing, enforcement emphasizes investigations. Today, we don't even find where there is auditing within the Division of Recycling, and recyclers are not audited for compliance, which would be very beneficial for them and help keep them in the program. So I'm wondering, would the department entertain implementing auditing of recycling centers and processors again, and do it with qualified auditors? And those are my questions for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Leonard. And our attorneys do look forward to chatting with you. I understand you've been working with them. And when I connect with you after the meeting, I'm going to connect you with our legal team because I think a lot of these are for them to address. So I'll be sure to get in touch with you as soon as the meeting ends. And that looks to be it for comments, Maria.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. You can find the May 2025 monthly public meeting recording in both English and Spanish on CalRecycle's YouTube channel as soon as possible. Please follow our social media platforms and GovDelivery email list for CalRecycle program updates. And thanks to everyone who participated in today's public meeting. Stay tuned to our GovDelivery listserv emails and public meeting webpage, as the next public meeting may be virtual only again during Cal EPA headquarter meeting room's ongoing technology updates. We appreciate your partnerships as we work together to reduce waste and reuse all materials, and we will see you next month. Thanks so much.